Hey, welcome back to the shop. My name is Eric, and I thought today we would talk about safety in general. And where I want to go with it is into like the chainsaws, because I think they're probably the most dangerous. And if you're, a do-it-yourselfer and you've never been around a chainsaw, probably want to listen up. You know, and for you guys that have been around a chainsaw for quite some time, feel free to add in the comments some of the close calls you've had that I will discuss what I've had and my family members have had. But first, with the hats. The hat I had on yesterday was I bought a final drive for my mini excavator, so they sent me a hat. I lost my John Deere hat somewhere. I think the wife hid it or the dogs got it, one or the other, because it was getting so ratty looking and dark. This one, my son works for one of the local Napa oil salesmen for Citgo's, so I got a hat. So I grabbed that one to use today, but no, they're not sponsors. I don't got no sponsors. I got you guys, and that's good enough for me. So, why are we talking about chainsaw safety? Well, you don't hear about the close calls. You only hear about when somebody is seriously injured or killed. So I'll start off by, I've got around 350 plus acres of ground on the home farm here. And of that, I'd say about a third of it is wooded. The rest is pasture and meadows. We've always cut our own firewood here for the shop. And we used to cut when we were a little bit younger. We'd also cut and sell. And then in my earlier years, I worked for a couple different loggers, falling trees before they had the fellow bunchers. And everything was done by hand. You know, you drop the tree, skidder come in, hooked it. Most of them were cable skidders at that time. They'd hook onto the tree, they'd take it out. They'd limb it up in the woods. The skidder operator would do most of the limbing. He would get it up to the landing, and then the guy running the apprentice loader or log loader would then use a slasher to cut it into the desired lengths that they were taking them to the mill for. And then he in turn would load their trucks as they showed up. The biggest thing is safety. Now, I would highly recommend any of you guys out there that have never been around a chainsaw and you're looking at purchasing a chainsaw, even the battery operated ones of today can still hurt, can still maim you, can still kill you if you're not safe with it. When I'm in the woods, I'm wearing chaps, eye protection, hard hat. There's this shield that comes with the hard hat, this screen. It's not plastic, it's a screen so it keeps the sawdust from coming up too, or any debris kicking back. I wear hearing protection because over time that saw is cranking out pretty loud if it's a gas operated one. The biggest thing with falling trees is you have to look out for what they call widowmakers, and that's just dead branches hanging up, or if you've got a tree leaning over on another tree and you, in order to cut that tree, you're worried about where that's a widowmaker. She's gonna catch you. And another big thing is kickbacks. I mean, I have had trees literally shoot past me like a rocket, where they'd hit the ground and then just, I see so many videos of guys that are cutting trees down. The tree starts to fall and they run the other direction. You cannot outrun a tree. You need to hug that tree as close as you can in a safe way so that you can watch to see what that tree is going to do. It's easier to step just a little bit this way or that way than have your back to it while you're running away and have it take you down. And it was just a couple of years ago up in our area. I mean, we have up in the Adirondacks, they do a lot of logging and stuff. And a lot of the big privately owned properties, same thing. And that's what happened to a guy up there that he ended up getting killed. Was the tree, when it came down, it shot like a slingshot, and the butt of the tree hit him and killed him. So you have to be really careful. Other things they call it is kickback. What is kickback? Well, the newer saws are equipped right on the handles. There's a secondary, it's a safety feature, so that if it hits something, it locks the chain when it's coming up. My father-in-law, he cut himself right from there to here when he was trying to cut like this. And what happened was it kicked back and it come right back and caught him. The other thing that, I don't know how many genes I went through over the years, but, there'd be days I just say, I'm just going to go out and buzz up a cord or whatever, and I wouldn't throw the chaps on because the chaps are a little heavier because they're steel mesh. And I've had it touch the kneecap, I've had it tear my jeans where, even experienced loggers, chainsaw users are going to have close calls. It's a dangerous machine if you don't know what you're doing with it. So that's why I'm kind of concerned with a lot of you do-it-yourselfers at home, is that nobody's probably told you how to operate that saw. Nobody's told you the correct stuff to have on, to do it safely. And a lot of places are selling chainsaws right off the shelf, and nobody's showing the new owner how it works. I can give a couple examples. I had a guy come in here just a while ago, and he was telling me that his chainsaw wouldn't cut. I said, okay. I said, is it because the engine isn't? Or no, he said it won't cut. So I said, well, let me see the saw. Took one look, and he had the chainsaw chain on backwards. Yeah. I normally charge for stupidity, but in that case, I want it to be a learning lesson. Not only did I get his chain on correctly on his saw, I spent half an hour, 45 minutes showing him how to operate that chainsaw safely and what gear he should have on while he's doing it. See, a lot of folks up in our area are getting what they call a load of logs, and that is a load of hardwood logs. They're usually coal logs, so they don't make good furniture or sent to the mill, and so they're sold for firewood and log links. And people are using that to get their firewood because the truck will come right in and stack it right up for you, and then you just start blocking it up, splitting it, and putting it wherever you want it. And that's got a lot of people doing that, of going out and buying a load and then buying a chainsaw to do their own. Again, nobody's showing the younger folks how to use a chainsaw. And I've seen in the last 20 years a move where some folks from downstate, from the city, PA, Jersey, have moved up into our area that have no clue of how to use one, and buying land and going and getting a chainsaw. Because if you go into Lowell's Tractor Supply, they're not going to show you how to use that chainsaw. You just go up and pay for it and take it home with you. So, chainsaw safety, I mean, you can cut yourself on a chain without the chain even moving. So, when it's not in use, get one of the plastic bars just to cover the chain. It's not to keep the chain sharp, it's to keep other people from getting cut on your chain. What should you have with you as far as with a chainsaw? Well, you're going to want a spud. And the spud we use to turn the spark plug in and out. And you've also got the correct, make sure you have the correct end for your tightener. And know where your tightener is on that saw. Each saw is a little bit different. Most of them years ago were all just a flathead screwdriver. Now some are coming through and they're Phillips. Some are coming through now that are hex head. You need to know that and carry that with you, because you're going to have, your chain will loosen up as you're cutting over. So you want to have that in the get a waterproof box. All right, put that in there. You're going to want a file. You want the correct file for your saw. And I recommend 2 or 3 of them. You also want something to hold the file. And this is a round file. You want either a plastic end on it or a wooden end, so that you've got a better grip when you're filing your chain. You're going to want a flat file. Why a flat file? Well, you have what they call rakers on the chain itself. And as it wears here, I take a little bit off the rakers about every 3rd or 4th time that I sharpen my saw. Just take it down a little bit. You don't want to get too aggressive with filing too much on those rakers, because then that chain is just going to grab every single time. The raker helps take the sawdust out. So a flat file goes in there. A small first aid kit that has gauze, band-aids, it has the tape, has the alcohol wipes, because it's not if, it's when you have an incident with it. And I always carry an extra chain or 2 in my box as well. So you want a waterproof box with that stuff in it. And you want your hearing protection, whether you're using the rubber earplugs you can stick in, or whether you're purchasing the hard hat, earplugs, and visor. If you're doing that, it's all in one. You don't need the putting the, I know guys that will put in both. Will have the orange rubbery throwaways they put in their ear, and then they'll put the earmuffs over. That's totally up to you. You know, for years, all of us ran chainsaws without having any hearing protection. And I'll tell you, it will cause you to have ears ringing and everything else. So, and then when it comes to filing that chain, once you know that you have the chain on correctly, then you need to learn how to file that chain. If you aren't going to learn how to file that chain, then you're probably going to want 4 or 5 chains that you can rotate in and out. And what do I mean by that? Well, it's with my own saws, I've got 4 steels and 3 Husqvarnas. I file my own chains by hand. And if you look on the chain itself, most of your better quality chains have got a Skype line in there that shows you the angle that you need to file that chain. And if you haven't hit into rocks or dirt and nothing like that, what I recommend is every other tank full of fuel, I will take and just hit it 3 to 4 times on each one, and then turn the saw around and then hit it 3 to 4 more times down through. They have gauges that you can set up. I've seen, I tried using, I didn't have that great luck with it, but maybe you will. It's just the battery operated one with the little dowel wheel on it, where you just, I find that takes a lot more off than doing the hand filing. And I get a lot sharper edge with the hand filing. Now here at the shop, that's just it. Either you're going to file yourself or you're going to have somebody else filing your chainsaws. That's why I say you need more than just a couple, so you got rotation. Is a lot of times if I get a lot of chains in, I've got the bench grinder for just chainsaw chains, and I'll knock out 10, 15 of them in an hour. Where if I try doing that by hand, I'd have carpal tunnel by now. Set of chaps. You're going to want to invest in a set of chaps. I don't care if you're just cutting up a load of logs, you need a set of chaps, because it's not if, it's when that chain comes up and brushes against your leg somewhere. And that mesh steel fiber is going to save you, because the teeth will grab into that instead of your, if it hits your leg, it's not going to slow down with the meat and bone. He will chew if it's sharp. I feel that in order to buy a chainsaw, lawnmower, riding lawnmower, I don't care, anything that could cause injury, I really feel that places should be responsible to show how to safely operate that unit and what is involved in it and the basics. Most people don't realize that on your chainsaw bar, it tells you everything you need to know as far as how many teeth, whether it's 0.5, 0.325. It tells you everything you need to know if you know how to use it. And that will dictate what chains you use, what file you're using. Your bar will tell you. There aren't too many of the shop owners anymore, that the steel dealer and them, that show you anything on their saws. They just send you out the door. It's like, give me your credit card, ching ching. And will they try to sell you the accessories? Yeah, because they're salespeople. But I think they would have a better sale if they explain why they should have you, the person buying the saw, should have this equipment, which they don't. And I think really that there should be courses out there on this stuff of just your basic chainsaw handling and safety. Just do me a favor. If you haven't been around a saw much and you just bought one or something like that, just use Google or YouTube on close calls with chainsaws. And I know there's a gazillion of them. And for you other old timers there that maybe you're not a shop owner, but you've been around chainsaw most of your life and you've seen things happen, it would be great for you to comment as well. Your comments are very important, especially you old timers. This channel, I've said before, is not about me. This channel is about you and I helping each other and teaching others, and hoping that somebody out there will do it the right way. So on that note, you guys leave comments. I love reading them. It adds to our channel here, and the more people we can get involved, the better it is. So on that note, I'll catch you on the next video. Thanks so much for watching.